Yeah, well, quite a few plaudits coming out of the Wycombe game in many ways, particularly from a defensive point of view. Clean sheet, maybe not the maximum points you required, but certainly a confidence booster to go into the game against a side that somewhere along the way we knew we were going to get a result. Many people mightn't have seen it coming, but they were going to get one somewhere along the way, weren't they, Chesterfield? And they'll come here buoyed by that one.
Yes, obviously I went to the game and Chesterfield were impressive on the day. They played very well and they deserved to win the game. So that's a timely boost for them. But we have to make sure we defend like we did in the Wycombe game. I think we haven't kept enough clean sheets at home, and if we do that, then obviously it gives us a basis to go on and win the game. But we need to defend, well. Make sure we're tight at the back, and like I say, and then you fancy us then to nick a goal. But certainly we need to make sure, the last couple of games at home, we conceded goals that were, could have been avoided.
You've obviously seen them in the flesh, so that's possibly better than watching a video in more ways than one, because you get a bigger picture, don't you, really, about what's going on all over the pitch. Is there any things that you feel that you can assess from that game and maybe what he might bring here? I mean, they're away from home. I don't know whether Jack Lester will set it up differently. How would you see it, Neil?
I'd be surprised if they make any changes or too many changes after a victory like they did against Notts County. So that would be obviously it's up to them how they want to play it. But it was a good performance, so you wouldn't think there'd be many changes in that. You can see that the team that like to pass the ball, they're willing to play out from the back and accept the ball in deep areas, and if you let them play, they will play. Got some good players on the ball, so it's a game where you've got to try and impose your own game on them, and you've got to make sure that you don't give them the space and the time to play.
But you've proved, as we saw against Exeter, you can create enough chances. It's that clinical finishing that's just been missing in those games, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think we should have got something from the Exeter game. There was a lot of pleasing performances in that game. I think the biggest plus was the number of crosses we got in the box. But if you're putting them balls into the box, you've obviously got to finish them off, and we need to get goals, and that's been obviously lacking the last two games. We haven't scored. We need to get goals, and we need to get them. We need to get them tomorrow.
It's not going to define the season, but you've always known, and you've seen it as a player. Certainly, this particular period with two games back to back within the space of 48 hours is going to be a big ask for the players in terms of fitness levels, but also in terms of a points return. You'll want as many maximum points out of these two games you can get, Neil, won't you?
Well, they couldn't. There's no way we can sort of understate the importance of these two games. I mean, they're two absolutely massive games. We've got to handle we are under pressure because we need results. There's no question about that. So the players have got to be brave. They've got to accept responsibility, and they've got to go out and they've got to perform. But certainly the two massive games, and they're coming, like you say, back to back. But we couldn't have two bigger games than these two coming up. And
there's no dead rubbers, isn't there now, Neil? Particularly, with any league, you see all the ups and downs, people challenging for top four spots, promotion, relegation. There's no dead rubbers now, maybe like there used to be.
No, there's not, because obviously with with the introduction of the playoffs, it means that teams in years gone by would have had nothing to play for if they were sat in mid-table. But that doesn't happen now, because you've got a lot of teams who are scrapping to get in the playoffs. You've got teams who probably look safe in terms of going down, but you still need to get points in the bag. So it brings a lot of teams into the equation. So everybody's got something to play for, and there's nobody, even at the bottom, who's so far adrift, especially after what Newport did last year. So everybody's got a chance, and they've all got something to play for. But you can only ask for things to be in your own hands, and we've got to get the points ourselves. We can't rely on anybody else. We can't make excuses. We've got to go out and we've got to win some games between now and the end of the season to stay up.
You in good shape? What's the training been like over this past few days? I mean, are the lads in decent nick, ready to go on Friday?
Although it was only a point at at Wickham, I think it was a positive step, and the players, had a good journey back. So I think the confidence is okay going into this game. I think we've had a meeting today. We realise what's at stake, but at the end of the day, it's what you do on the pitch. It's all what you do on the pitch, and they've got to go out tomorrow. They've got to play with a passion and a determination, and they've got to get the crowd on board. They've got to get them on side. Got to give them something to shout about, and they've got to be positive, and they've got to go out and win the game.
We want a positive attitude from the fans, don't we? I know they do support you. They go well home and away, but we want it right throughout these 90 minutes this Friday. Sorry.
Yeah, I think everybody's well documented the problems we've had all season, but I think tomorrow is one of them days where it's got treated a bit like a cup tie, and I think you've just got to forget what the previous results have been like, and you've just got to get on with this game tomorrow. And for me, it's obviously it's part of the league campaign, but it's like a one-off. It's like a cup tie. We need to get play like it's a really big, which it is, like a cup tie. And we've got to get the supporters on board. They've got to get right behind us, and we've all got to try and get results. I mean, last week at Chesterfield, because they got on top, they got the crowd on side, give them something to shout about, and that's what you've got to do.
And I suppose the other factor of the matter as well, you're getting some nice partnerships developing now. This on a young in his partnership in many ways. Nathan Smith and Kyle look to be a nice combination at the moment.
Well, like we said last week with Nathan, he's played his 100th game, but he's had that many different central defensive partnerships. And I think it's always difficult if you're trying to get stability. Certainly, if you're playing with a couple of centre halves, you'd like them to get a long run playing together, but for whatever reason, and sometimes you've got lone players and different players come and go. It's always difficult, but I think they played well together in the Grimsby game, and then obviously Cal couldn't play. But the games that they've played, you'd like to think that they're going to get better with every game. But I think we don't want to be chopping and changing too much, because we've got to get some sort of stability in formation and shape. That's going to see us through the rest of the season.
And stability obviously always required at the top. I mean, how is Tom Pope? Is he in contention?
Well, I think everybody's desperate for Tom to come back. We all know what an important player he is, but we have to be sensible. We can't rush him back and jeopardise him playing in other games. He's obviously started to do some training this week, but the Chesterfield game might be too early to be bringing him back.
And obviously, for yourself, I mean, you settled in the team you might want. You talk about continuity. That's a big factor. I mean, do you go same again? I mean, is that one of the factors you have to consider against the side who are going to come here scrapping for points nil?
Well, I've not, ever since I've been here, I've not made wholesale changes. I think you've got to keep trying to get a regular team without making too many changes. But obviously form dictates, and if somebody doesn't do the required job, then you have to look to maybe change somebody in that position. But whichever 11 plays on Friday, they've got to realise, they'd be daft to not realise the importance of the game. And I expect whichever 11 start, they go out and they do everything they can to win the game.